All right, because I split up the two videos, intro for this one, we're gonna be starting her up today. It's not tomorrow, but the next day. So I got a decent amount done, feeling better. So let me see or show you what I have done. So I talked about the intercooler coming in. It's in. Let me show you how it's mounted. Ugh. So it's got an angle to it. I had this so I didn't damage it, but I just made these little tabs off these factory bolts. A little bend of that, and then holds it there. And then there's this ducting, right? I know a lot of guys are gonna say just delete it, but it's there for a reason. It's there to help direct the airflow to make sure it goes through the condenser and the radiator. So I know people are going to say, you don't need that. It's there for a reason. The engineers designed it that way. It's supposed to be there and it helps direct the airflow. So I kept that there, which made it more challenging to fit the intercooler, but it fits with this. Here it is right here, and it fits under there. Sorry, voice crack. And I had to do a little bit of trimming. Don't mind this ghetto-ness. I'm changing all the 16-year-old ghetto-ness. But yeah, all this wiring's getting redone. But there's a bracket there, and then one on this side. It's really hard to see, but I built from this. There's a little tab right here. I just drilled a hole in it and built another bracket that goes onto the top. Then I had to trim the ducting a little bit on the sides just to get that bracket to fit. But the ducting is going to be all functional, so that's a plus. So now I got to do intercooler piping, which I've been started on. I got this piece tack welded on. I'll show you guys how that fits. And then I got this side pretty much done. I'll show you how that goes. It's pretty much what I talked about earlier, but let me get it mocked up and I'll show you that. But I also got my fitting for the oil feed. Now, as far as I'm aware, I don't need a oil restrictor. So I got this. It's just for the S300, the Borg-Warner S300 turbo to, so whatever the threads are there, and then to a dash 4AN. I'm pretty sure is what this is. It's just another one I had laying around from this car because the original one I got, I think, was too long. This one is on the longer side, but I can loop it. So it's gonna go and go down here, like I've talked about, to where the oil gauge is, and then I'm probably gonna go to a sensor, like I've already talked about. But I got the fitting in, and fits good. This isn't too hard of a 90, so we're set there. So this is the intercooler piping I have so far. From here goes, and then drill the hole there, comes down to this coupler, and then on this side is where things are a little more complicated. So comes down from the turbo, comes to here, and then around. And I mean, my biggest issue is this isn't a big issue. I can pull these tabs just to pull it down a little bit or push it back. That's what I'm worried about. It doesn't hit. So I do want to build some brackets that are welded onto here and then bolted to here to help keep the intercooler piping still, or at least maybe not do that, but just put a rubber grommet, some sort of rubber something on this AC line because it doesn't get too hot. So rubber grommet on that, and then some extra rubber here, so I don't bust into the AC line, because that would suck, because then my Freon would go everywhere. Or also bust a hole inside of the aluminum just by rubbing over it throughout time. So I'm gonna weld all those ones up because I think that's good. I can move the AC lines a little bit. They have some wiggle room. This side, I'm either gonna do this with a slight little bend to it, or haven't decided if I'm just gonna go and just weld that one at a slight angle. I like to keep everything smooth because the airflow It is better when it's a smooth. Even when there's bends, just keep them smooth and bent like this. You don't want anything like harsh cuts. So bent tube is better. So I need to see how this all lines up, because this boot does have some adjustability where it doesn't have to be exactly 90 because it is silicone. It can move over a little bit, which honestly, looking at it right now, I might just cut a little straight piece and then weld the rest of that. But yeah, so I'm gonna finish welding up this side and that side at least, and then finish this side, and then we're at a pretty solid spot. I just need to finish buttoning up the oiling system for the turbo, meaning the feed and the drain. And then what else do I have to do? Finally bolt everything down. I need to do serpentine belt. Oh, and then I need to redo my harness for the connector that goes to the new throttle body. And then, honestly, not too far. I do need to finish the whole exhaust, but I talked about this before. I want to wait for the wet trains of staying in it, which is obviously going to be the CD09 eventually. But anyways, so yeah, let me get that welded. I got this one all welded up, so time to install. Boom, we got, still hot. One side done. Now I just need to weld this side all the way up. That side's going to be more tricky just for building brackets and making sure everything clears. That side was pretty straightforward, just weld her up. So yeah, welding time. Second one is welded. These welds came out better than those welds, which sucks because that weld is visible, but whatever. So install time. All right, oil line comes down around. It is on the longer side. I add the little T thing I found laying around, so I can still run my mechanical oil pressure sensor gauge for now until I figure out what I'm gonna do with my dash, if I'm gonna stay stock dash or go with the screen. So that kind of determines if I'm running a gauge or not. Because if I'm running a screen, I'll just run it to the ECU and then display on the screen. But if not, then I'll keep the gauge. So for now, this just works. But the oil was a little milkshakey, so not good. Sounds like the motor's probably hurt, which is fine because it is a junkyard motor and they're super cheap. It's not a big deal, but kind of a bummer. I did abuse the motor. Like I said, it was an unknown, probably 250 plus K miles on it. So I'm gonna drain it, put some new oil in it, as long as there's not a ton of metal in it. Milkshakey leads me to believe coolant, which leads me to go to head gaskets, but I find that hard to believe considering I have studs and the multi-layer steel ones, but you never know. It could be something else. I'm trying to think if there's another way for coolant to get in other than the head gasket, and I don't think, but I'm just going to drain it and we're just going to send it because it is what it is. If it gets worse or whatever, or the next oil change is still bad, then I'll just swap the motor out with another junkyard one. It's not a big deal. So yeah, but I think that's it. So I basically I took off everything, manifolds on the head, put the gasket on, put all the bolts in because I was missing basically half of them. So I did that. And now I got my wastegate, my second Turbo Smart Comp 40. That's the part number. I'm running 2 of those. So I got these, and I kind of have it roughly there, but it's going to be something like that on one, and then the second one is going to be something like that. I need to cut this hole right here, and then some of you guys might say, well, why is the wastegate going backwards when the exhaust is flowing this way? But it's intersecting at a 90 degree right here. And so with it intersecting, exhaust flowing this way, and then there's a 90, which is the max you want to run a wastegate, is a 90 degree. And then it's going to turn back. The turn back is fine. It's you don't want it to be angled like this with the exhaust coming in like that. So it's coming in at a 90 and then swooping back. Because of the curve, the flow will be fine, and there won't be any issues with that. And then you want to run your wastegates closest to the exhaust housing of the turbo as possible, not closest to the head of the engine. So these two spots are about as close as I can get for running 2 wastegates, and then for the space I have under the car, or not really under, but around. So I'll bolt that thing back in and then show you guys what these look like and where they're gonna go. And I think I'm just gonna, for now at least, just put dump tubes on it, see how loud it is. If it's too loud, I'll recircuit. But yeah, here's the wastegates. Everything's just tacked up right now, but yeah, it's coming out pretty good. I wish this one was, I guess, a little farther from the crank. I mean, it's a solid, like, it's fine, but yeah. But also just tack well, and that's why they're loose. And then you figure out either the dump or to recirc them. Like I said, I'm just gonna dump them for now, see how loud it is. Just do something like that. Find another one of these laying around, and then just go like that, and then call it a day for now. And then if it's too loud, recircuit into the exhaust, because the exhaust is like right here. But now I'm just gonna weld all around here, weld around the flange on both of these, and then I can start working on the dump tubes. But yeah, these have you can run coolant to them. I'm not doing that because I don't think I need to, and it seems kind of unnecessary. It is optional from TurboSmart. So yeah, welder up is next. All welded up, pretty good, proud of it. Welds are decent. Fabrication work, definitely my work is improving, but yeah, so it's done. This is the contraption. I just need to bolt the wastegates on and figure out some dumps. Wastegates are mounted. Need to figure out what to do with this hose. Probably shorten it so they're not resting on the wastegates. But everything clears. So sick. Last I showed, got the wastegates on down there, hard to tell. So I need to do the dump tube still, but I might do that off camera just to get it done because of my limited time. But blow off valve. I got a Blitz Super Sound, or I forget what they're called, Super something, blow off valve. So I'm gonna install this closest to the throttle body. So probably right there, or yeah, honestly, probably gonna throw it right there. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of an eyesore, but you want it closest to the throttle body as possible. So that's my best location. Something I was thinking is you could honestly mount it on the intake manifold, I think. Oh wait, no, I take that back because of your throttle body. Take that back, don't do that. But because it's supposed to relieve the pressure. Okay, so last clip you saw I was running, and a lot changed from that one. So I got my radiator hose, put the stainless steel on it, done. So the hose will hit the exhaust. Got the O2 sensor bung welded on. I built a bracket for the alternator. I got a belt for the alternator. Wastegates. Let's check out those. Oh. This is what I have so far. It's not all the way done. It's at least dumped here. Waiting for that flange to come, and then I'll just dump it also. Over there, the exhaust comes out right there now. And I'm pretty sure that's about it. I just kind of grinded the rest of it out just because limited time and stuff. So it's really close to being done. It starts. I had a bad oil leak from this fitting here on the turbo. It's not this side. Oh yeah, the threads are messed up on the end, so I ordered a new one of those because this is freaking Chinese junk. So I got a new one of these coming today, maybe tomorrow. So yeah, so once I fix that oil feed, I need to find some mufflers, and then I can finish the rest of the exhaust. And yeah, so it runs. So we're getting somewhere. Probably gonna end the video here. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any questions that I can answer. And yeah.